Hello everyone. I had no idea that choosing a new carpet could be such a confusing and daunting task. I am looking for a new carpet for my living room. This is the room I do most of my demonstrations in, and regular or long-term viewers will know that since I've had this plush pile Saxony fitted 5 years ago, I've done nothing but moan about it or apologise for it, because I would test a vacuum cleaner on it, a cordless one, well, a lot of vacuum cleaners. They just can't cope with it. I can only use, for example, a cordless Dyson on this particular carpet on its eco or low power setting. Any higher and the head cuts out. Mains powered cylinder vacuum cleaners, I can often hardly move the nozzle across the carpet unless I turn the suction way down. So I've had enough. So we went to our local carpet shop, a local company, who brought round a selection of samples. We went and visited the shop and I just thought, I don't know where to begin. Been online researching carpets, what carpets are easy to use a vacuum cleaner on, and I got into this whole hornet's nest of recommended vacuum cleaners for certain carpets. So if you go on a carpet website, you might see that they recommend a particular type of vacuum cleaner. So in many cases, and some of you watching might have a similar experience, you've bought a lovely new soft plush pile carpet, looks fabulous in your house, and then you come to vacuum it for the first time and why can't I push my vacuum? Or why is it really difficult to push my vacuum? This is terrible. I never had the same problem with the previous carpet. So on the top of paying for new carpet, they're thinking, I can't clean it, I'm going to need a new vacuum. And because I've got so many vacuum cleaners, obviously I've got cleaners that will work on this carpet. They tend to be older models, to be honest, with a beta bar and a height adjustable brush. And that's what you're looking for in a vacuum cleaner. You want a vacuum cleaner that can adjust to your carpet rather than you having to buy a new vacuum cleaner because you've got a new carpet. So I would look for one that you can adjust the suction power as well as the height. If it's an upright, obviously the cordless machines tend not to have height adjustments, but they do normally have a suction control. Some have an electronic control that adjusts the speed. Others, you might have to slide a little vent on the floor head to increase the airflow so it's not bogging down. Anyway, my preference, I told the lady from the carpet shop, I said the most important criteria that I need for this carpet is the ease of vacuuming. And I've got a sample here. I'm going to try a few vacuums out on some of these samples. Unfortunately, these are lovely looking carpets, lovely velvet soft pile, but they're too small to try a vacuum cleaner on. So fine for choosing colours, but not for testing out a vacuum. But these bigger samples, they are big enough to run a vacuum over to get an idea of the carpet that's suitable. I've already more or less chosen. I haven't been able to go through everything because, like for example, I've been given these 3 books of carpet samples. Now these are fine for seeing what the carpet's like. There's a larger piece there. That does feel very soft, but if it's a very soft pile, is it vacuumable? I might be able to vacuum. No, you see, it's too narrow. The smallest head I've got here is on this Henry Quick, but there's going to be a gap, so it'll probably be easy to push. Right, okay, that's a no. It clamped down, even on that small part. It lifted up. So if it can lift up the carpet sample, I'm thinking it means it's not going to be easy to push when the carpet's installed. So I think this range, although very nice and soft and sumptuous, that's a definite no-no, right? What is this made of? I think it's polyester. Super soft carpet by Associated Weavers Limited, a UK brand since 1964. But when I see super soft, it's soft carpets that often cause trouble with vacuum cleaners. This is another Associated Weavers. Some more vibrant, bold colours here. Most of us go for the pastel shades these days, don't we? They're in fashion. Don't tend to go for red or blue carpets, but we've got the option. But again, I think that's going to... Let's try Henry Quick on it again. Possibly be okay on the low setting, but once I press boost, no, the brush roll cuts out and it can lift up the carpet. Of course, on the Henry Quick we do have this little opening here, so I can reduce the suction at the head. So that's out, but yeah, I didn't think that would be an option either, really. As I said, I did say I need some larger samples, and this one is completely out for me because it seems like there's some sort of slub. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but on that larger sample it looks like this. It's probably supposed to be like that, but it looks a bit imperfect to me. So I didn't like that. As soon as I opened this, I thought, no, that's definite no-no. I have been looking at nylon carpet because after doing some research online and looking at some videos, nylon carpet seems to be highly recommended by professionals and people who professionally clean carpets for a living. They tend to recommend nylon, and I've always associated nylon carpets with those cheap, itchy and scratchy, plasticky feeling, low budget carpets. That I remember those from the 70s, nylon, and they'd give you a static shock. But nylon carpets aren't like that. In fact, nylon is considered a premium man-made fibre for carpets. In fact, it's the most expensive fibre you can get for carpets, man-made. I think wool and maybe some other natural silk carpeting, if you can afford that. But wool carpets, I think, cost more. But as far as man-made carpeting, nylon carpets tend to cost the most. And I was absolutely... This sort of carpet, this velvet pile is absolutely sumptuous, and this is nylon. This is by a company called Artisan Luxury Flooring. I would pick the best and most expensive, I expect. I don't know the price of any of these yet. It's made of 100% PA nylon. It's for heavy domestic and general commercial use. It says here, to maintain your carpet's luxury appearance, it is recommended to vacuum a minimum of 2 to 3 times per week using a good quality upright vacuum cleaner with a rotating brush. Full care and maintenance information can be downloaded from our website. So I've been on the carpet manufacturers' websites and checked, and when they're saying, well, you best use this particular brand or this particular type of vacuum, then I'm thinking it might not be for me, because I need a carpet that I can basically use any vacuum, whether it's made in the 70s or, you know, a modern cleaner you can buy now. But this is really nice, and there's a whole range of these. So I was sold on nylon. Nylon was going to be the choice. So on this side, they're slightly different grades, some of them, but they're all from the same manufacturer. I said Artisan Carpets. And some are a different weight or pile depth. This pile weight on this one is 2,200 grams per square metre. I think this is a thinner one. Yes, this is 1,525 grams. This is a Verona. So these are from Artisan. This is a Setta, and this is a Lusso. And the Lusso gets heavier. The Lusso is definitely going to cost more money. This one I think is quite a nice colour for my living room. This, although, yeah, this goes with my curtains, it doesn't really go with my mink colour sofa. And this is another Lusso from Artisan. Francesca, I mean, they do have some funny names for the colours. I mean, there's no there's no clue. This is called Serafina. Again, that's definitely one of the. It's such a lovely feeling carpet. Oh, that would go well in this room. Look at that. It even seems to have a bit of a sheen to it, doesn't it? Look at that. Is this one? This is one of the. Yes, this is one of the better ones. I think this is the one I liked the best. I think this went well. Yeah, I think it was this one. But sadly, alas, none of these carpets, as much as I'd love this in the living room, none of these carpets are going to solve the problem of being able to vacuum easily. It's not as if these carpets have a very deep pile. As you can see from the side there, they're not very deep, but they are dense and plush. There must be loads of fibres per square inch. And even when you bend it, so if you're having this on stairs, and it's suitable for stairs, when it bends on the stair, a cheaper carpet, it might start to expose a bit of the backing, not much, but you know what I mean. A really cheap carpet on a stair can look cheap, but this, even when folded, it's superb. And I have to say, although it's not going to be a choice for the living room, we do need new carpeting throughout the house. We've had the same carpet since we moved in as a new build, and that was a really basic, cheap carpet put in by the developers. It's the same carpet that I used to start my demonstrations on way back in the day. So later this year or earlier next year, we need to carpet the rest of the house because it is looking very threadbare and worn. Not threadbare, but it looks very worn. And in one room, the carpet, you can tell it's coming away from the backing. It's been repeatedly shampooed, one of the bedrooms. And on a cheap carpet, if you keep shampooing it with a wet extraction, it can start to degrade the adhesive, and the actual fibres can start coming away from the backing. And you know that because the carpet's crunchy underfoot, and you might get wavy lines on the carpet. You know, it might not be as flat as it was. But I'm thinking if we go for one of these carpets from Artisan for the rest of the house, for both sets of stairs, for the 3 bedrooms, they will last for as long as we need them to last, because we don't have dogs upstairs anymore. We never wear shoes past the living room. Try not to wear shoes in the living room carpet, but certainly when we start walking upstairs, it's bare feet or socks only. And they recommend this type of carpet you deep clean twice a year. And I don't think it's going to get dirty like my living room. My living room carpet takes a lot of hammer, a lot of wear. 2 dogs who are very old, occasional accidents, and of course all the demos I do, throwing dirt down, the number of times I shampoo the carpet. I'm sure this would hold up to that sort of wear, definitely, but it's just not. It's not suitable. Shall we try it with the Henry Quick? To be honest, the Henry Quick is one of the better cleaners for a plusher pile, because at least you can, as I said, open up this vent. I'll start it with the vent closed on normal setting. That's not bad. So actually the Henry Quick would be fine. So if I got this carpet in the rest of my house, I could whip round it on a daily basis with Henry Quick. I didn't even have to open that. I'm not sure if it'll be fine on the maximum setting. No, couldn't really use Henry on maximum, but he seemed to be well, I can't demonstrate it, but I can't put a load of dirt on these don't belong to me, but on regular it seemed to be it wasn't skimming across the top, it was bedding down. I think it would do a good job on that pile. But yeah, that's where I think it ends as far as ease of vacuuming. Let's get a straight suction cleaner and see how it is on this particular velvet pile. I'm going to try my Miele Guard L1 on this carpet sample using the supplied straight suction head. Try it on minimum to start with, I'm sure it'll be fine on minimum, and then I'll ramp up the power. So on minimum, well, yeah, even on minimum, obviously I'm going to have to put my foot on it, so yeah, right, that's on minimum. If it was the full room in this carpet, yeah, that's doable, but that's on minimum power. Let's go up a notch. Again, that's okay. This is the upholstery setting, so not as much suction as you might need for a carpet. Then if I skip the automatic and go straight to the fitted carpet setting, yeah, I can tell that's not going to be suitable. In fact, as you can see, it's having no trouble lifting up that carpet. That's not even on maximum. On maximum, right. So I'm thinking, if on the carpet setting it's able to lift up this sample, it means that if I was to fully carpet my living room in this beautiful velvet carpet, it is lovely, I have to say, it would have the same problem as my Saxony. My Saxony carpet, much lesser quality than this one. Let's put another piece of carpet down. So I've got my Miele Duoflex HX1. So it'll start off on the default setting. Right, oh, it's cut out. Let's try and keep it moving. Yeah, it would be doable, but it's still difficult to push. I think we'll try it on the boost setting. Yeah, you can push it on boost. It's not powerful enough to actually pick up the carpet sample, but that's probably more difficult. Let's try it on my regular carpet. Yeah, I have to say that these velvet pile carpets are harder to use, harder for the vacuum to go over than the carpet I want to replace. So that's a no-no, I'm afraid. I would absolutely adore one of these carpets. What about seeing an old-fashioned vacuum? Well, what about a Hoover dirt searcher? I think a dirt searcher would be fine on one of these velvet piles, perhaps, because it is an upright. It doesn't have adjustable suction, but it does have Hoover's height right control, so you can adjust it for any length of carpet, well, for many lengths, from shag, long pile, down to the lowest pile. I'm going to put it on the setting just below the longest pile, so to a medium pile. Even on the slightly lower setting, it was doable, bit harder to push. But on the highest setting, it was cleaner. It was grooming the pile, and it would have got rid of any deep down dirt. We've got some more samples here. Now this is polypropylene, I think. These aren't the nylon. I think so far I've shown you nylon carpets. But it's still a velvet. It's a velvet pile. So it's not going to leave so many groom lines as this deeper pile, but it's still going to show the groom lines, and I think a lot of you like to see them. There's some nice neutral colours. There's going to be a colour that would be suitable But as I said, it's not the colour that matters to me. It's the ease of vacuuming. It's made of silk tex for a super soft feel, and it's suitable for underfloor heating. 2-fold tufted yarn. I think there's a guarantee, but often the guarantees you get on carpets, they have exclusions, and they'll say you've got to use this certain vacuum sometimes, or you know, you've got to have professional cleaners do it to keep your guarantee, and you've got to keep the paperwork to show that you've had a firm in to clean them. So that's no good for me anyway. I'm not even bothered about a warranty on a carpet. I'm used to being able to clean my own carpets, and I have cleaned my own carpets since the early 80s, and I've never ever had to have anyone in to clean carpets for me, because I love cleaning carpets. Why would I want someone in to spoil the fun? But yes, a lot of people still want to get the professionals in, and that's fine. Not knocking the professionals, but I personally like to do the shampooing myself. Now, was this on the maybe list? It's possible. Oh no, it wasn't. Was it? I don't know. There was one that was on the maybe list. Now I can actually take these samples off this doodah. Whoops. Let's use Henry again. The thing to do, take your vacuum cleaner to the carpet shop, folks. Sometimes they might have the carpet you want actually on the floor. The place we went to, they had various different carpets on the floor. I'd have to try them out. I could say, well, is this one of the carpets I'm interested in? And if they did have an offcut, a larger offcut, even a rug-sized offcut, it would give me a better idea. But so it's just trying what I can try with these small samples. Now that's fine. Well, that's the best one so far with the Henry Quick. No trouble, of course, on the regular setting, and the brush oil wasn't cutting out on Boost, and I'd hardly ever use Boost. I'm wondering if this is, I know it was a velvet that I'm thinking of for this room. I'm not sure if it was this one, or it might have been a bigger sample. I'm sitting on some, it could be one of those. I think this is still, this could be in the maybe pile. Right. Oh dear. And then we've got this Rio Grande, which is made from recycled things. It's well, the backing is made from recycled bottles and fishing nets and things they've trawled out of the sea, apparently. It's Eco Fusion back, made from 100% recycled PET plastic bottles. That's the backing that's made of that. And this is more or less suitable. It's heavy wear domestic. It's polyester. I don't think I've tried. So I can only really try Henry Quick on these smaller samples. Well, again, fine on standard setting, and the brush roll didn't cut out on max. Let's try the Miele. See if it, I think it'll just pick it up. Switch on. Right, it's on maximum. Turn it down. Yeah. I think that's probably a no. Now I've got some at the lower end of the market, definitely cheaper, especially these two. I think there's a third one from this brand. This is the sort of carpet-sized sample that is better to try out with your vacuum cleaner, because you can get a couple of strokes in there. These are definitely polyester. They feel, you know, a lot cheaper. They're a lot less dense, but that probably means it'll be a lot easier to push a vacuum on. They're made from recycled polypropylene, still heavy domestic general commercial use, bleach cleanable with a 10-year guarantee. This is by Furlong Flooring. That's Furlong. I think these could be, this is Furlong, and is this Furlong? They're all Furlong. So this was the type of carpet I was initially drawn to in the shop. I was just going really by the pile of the carpet. I thought, well, my mum has a similar pile in her living room, and I've used vacuums in her house. I've done some demos from her living room, and you know, most vacuums I've tried on it, I think all the vacuums I've tried on my mum's carpet were fine. She would have gone to Carpetright for her carpet, I think, and she wouldn't have gone for a really expensive luxury carpet. I think it would have been a similar sort of quality to these. When I said I was interested in these, I was told that this is the sort of thing that they fit into rental properties. Basically, it's cheap carpet. They're not going to spend a fortune on carpet in a home that's rented out, because if you rent a home, maybe you're not going to look after the carpets as well as you would if you'd paid for them yourself. But I'm pretty sure that when I get any vacuum on this, any of these samples, it will be easy to push. Almost effortless with Henry Quick on his regular setting, and nearly as effortless when I'm pressing boost. So that's the thing. I'm sure my Hoover Junior Dirt Searcher will also be fine. Let's lower the height a bit for this one. Yeah, no problem there. What about the Miele with the straight suction? So this is on the carpet setting. Wow. On maximum, that's still very easy to push. Still going to lift it up, but that doesn't take a lot of effort at all. Yeah. That's really good. Oh, we've got a mains powered Dyson, which does actually work on my plush pile, but only, well, it works best on its deep pile setting. This one here. It'll be fine on this carpet, I'm sure. If it's plugged in, of course. That's on the deep pile setting. I'm going to flip it to the most intense setting, which on my plush pile carpet, it's very, very difficult to push on my existing carpet. But let's see what it's like on these samples. Yeah, it's more effort, but it's still doable if I wanted to do a particular deep clean. I think for this carpet, the middle setting for this particular Dyson probably give me the best of both worlds. It'd be relatively easy to push and still performing well. Yeah. So these samples from Furlong carpets, if you're interested. I think these will be suitable for most vacuum cleaners. This is Carefree Ultra, from Furlong in clotted cream. And this is Carefree Twist. And this one is Carefree Ultra. All of them, there'll be different prices. They're different. Still got 10-year guarantee. But yes, I think if you're on a budget, I think these will be the ones. As I said, I've no idea how much these cost, but just by the feel of them, I think these are certainly more budget choice, and especially as the lady from the carpet shop told me, it's what they put in rental properties, maybe even some new builds. This actually feels better than the carpet that was fitted in our new build when we first moved in. I'd have been quite happy with this sort of carpet. And to be honest, it has worn pretty well in the rest of the house, but it has been replaced in the living room. So yes, for ease of pushing, they win hands down so far. What's this sample here? This is from Cavalier Carpets. It's called Elixir 45-ounce Regal. I think that's going to be a similar result, don't you? It looks a very similar carpet. We've got some more Cavalier. Yeah, I think this was the front runner for me, because it is a velvety pile. It's called Velveteen, so it gives me a bit of a nice velvet finish in the living room. Not this colour. This is far too pale for my living room. But I think I was veering towards this as the front runner. 10-year stain and wear warranty, bleach cleanable. It's 100% polyester, so cheaper carpets are polyester on the whole. And then we've got another one called Elixir from Cavalier. It says limoncello. I mean, that's the sort of colour. It's very similar. I've got to have a similar colour to what I've got down now. But if I put it up against my sofa, I think that tones very well. And it's got a bit of a pile. You'll be able to see carpet lines in it. So I think that was the front runner. I have not even tried the vacuum on it, but I think I have earlier. Pretty sure that's the one that was favourite so far. No, don't listen to me. This isn't the favourite, although that's a nice colour. It's the Velveteen, isn't it? That was my favourite. Oh, and what's this one? Right, I've got 4 Cavalier carpet samples. Right, there are 2 Velveteen. I don't like that colour. No. And that's too light. But if they do Velveteen, I think in this colour, which is for some reason called limoncello, that colour, but with this pile, I think is possibly the one. So we'll try the Velveteen ones out. I think the vacuum is harder to push on the Velveteen. Not sure which direction the pile's going in actually, but I think it was still doable. It was a compromise between having a nice velvet looking carpet and being easy to push. I think that'll be a higher price point than this one. I've got the Dyson on the middle setting. Yeah, that's fine. Didn't seem to be any difference between the deep pile and the middle. It might be a bit hard on the other setting with the vents completely closed. Yeah. Whoops. Yeah. Ooh. It would be doable, but yeah, quite difficult. But I wouldn't need to use that setting really. So, I think as much as I like the Velveteen, I think it was worse. We'll try it again. So these two are the more velvet finish. I will do it on the deep pile setting first. That's fine. It is easier to push on this carpet than my existing one. Just try it in the middle. Oh, that's fine, yeah. not very good on the maximum setting, but obviously these are moving about. They're just samples. If this was the whole carpet fitted to the room, I think it would be easier to push. So I think these are the front runners. So let's remind myself. So it's Cavalier Velveteen, but not in the colours that I've been given to try. I'd want it more. I think this is the nicest colour that will go with. It'll go with my oak furniture. It'll go with my mink colour sofa as well. So right, I'm going to put that in the. I'll throw that on the sofa because that is winning at the moment for the living room. So after my extensive research, not just in this video, believe you me, I've been looking at this for a while. I think it's going to be, is it this one? For my living room, it's going to be Velveteen by Cavalier Carpets. This one's buttermilk. This is not the colour I want, but it is 100% polyester. It's got a TOG rating of 1.30. It's suitability extra heavy domestic. Can be used in the lounge, hallway, dining room, bedroom and stairs. Super soft touch, bleach cleanable, 10-year stain and wear warranty, moth resistant, 2-ply yarns, and it's got a UK flag on it, so I'm assuming it's made in the UK. And I think this will be a sort of, this won't be budget, I think it'll be a sort of mid-price point. But as I said, this sort of colour in a velvet. I'll go online, I'm sure they'll do this colour in this carpet. If not, I mean, I could go for this. I think this, I could ask for prices for both actually, but I think that's the nicest colour for the living room, and it's certainly, that will be certainly easier to demonstrate. I'd say all the vacuums I show you will be fine on that. Slightly harder on the velvety pile, but not too much difference between those two. And for the rest of the house, I'm absolutely sold on these artisan carpets. This is the one in a heartbeat I would have in my living room. It's a beautiful colour, beautiful feel, but I would have the same problem with this, or maybe even worse of a problem with this than I do with the carpet that I want to get rid of. But this is artisan Lusso. This is the 100% nylon, PA nylon, and for heavy domestic, and it's for heavy domestic and general commercial use. I think that carpet would outlive me, to be honest. But that in the rest of my house, I could even see having this colour. I know it's almost cream. It's very cream, but we don't have the dogs upstairs anymore. No shoes are allowed past the hall. So I think that in the bedrooms would be absolutely fantastic. In fact, the carpets that are up there now are quite a light colour. They're veering towards a more harvest beigey colour, maybe slightly more yellowy than this. But this, either of these actually would look fantastic. So, right, these are the four then that I'm going to talk to the lady from the carpet place about, and see if possible she can let me have an offcut, if they've got an offcut of any of them, a rug-sized offcut, that I can do a little bit more testing on before I make the final decision, because I don't want to rush into it like I rushed into this. Somebody did say they've had this carpet from Carpetright and they didn't recommend it, but that was after it had already been ordered. I couldn't have cancelled it. Another thing this does, and that was another problem that the commenter told me, you'll find strands often appearing, long strands that pop up. Now I've just been picking them off as they've appeared, but apparently you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to cut them. But so yeah, this carpet it's got slightly less fibres in it than it did when it was new. I mean, it would take centuries to loosen all the fibres, I think. But right, these are going in my, full consideration, final consideration. These are the winners, not necessarily the colours. One last thing to mention about Underlay. We call it underlay in the United Kingdom, but I think in the States you call it padding, but it's the same thing. I think underlay is a better word. It's the carpet or the structure that you put under a carpet. And you really should consider underlay as well, because an underlay, good underlay, can make a cheap carpet wear longer, make it feel softer. We were given this sample. This is a Plush Walk memory foam. It's a 10mm thickness. They do it in 8 and 12mm, I think. This is what's been recommended, so obviously I don't take anyone's word for anything. I have to do my own research, and I've done a bit of research on this, and it does seem to be widely recommended by people who've bought it, regular consumers that bought it. You can actually buy this in rolls on Amazon if you wanted to, but obviously we'll have it supplied with the carpet when the carpet's fitted. So I think I will go for this one. I was thinking of a more traditional sort of rubber type that we've normally had, but this seems to be the way to go. And depending on the carpet I choose will depend, I think, on the thickness that is most suitable for, it's either 8, 10 or 12. So obviously the carpet would lay on top. So we've got a concrete floor, nice smooth concrete floor in the living room because it's a new build. And what will happen is we will be taking this carpet up and the underlay and disposing of it ourselves, cutting it into manageable rolls and then taking it to the local tip. I might save some of the nicer pieces actually that have been under the furniture to put maybe in the loft space or to use for demos, although I don't really want to be demoing on this sort of carpet. That's why I'm getting a new one. But this seems quite good. It's got a TOG rating, so it'll keep warmth in. And this will also be nice to use for the rest of the house. I can't wait to get the rest of the house carpeted because it will be a cheap underlay as well under the carpet that was fitted when this house was first built. So having a nicer, more quality memory foam underlay with that artisan carpet on top, it's going to absorb noise levels and things because it can reduce the decibel. Often carpets have a decibel rating on them as well, and that's probably better if it doesn't really matter for downstairs. If you live in an apartment or a flat, to have a high decibel rating might benefit your neighbours, I suppose, and also benefit you because it could help stop you hearing noises from down below as well. This is 3.2 TOG. It's a 45 decibel, excellent sound reduction properties. So that's something you need to consider as well, your underlay. It's always worth, I think, getting a new underlay when you get a new carpet. And this underlay in my living room, the dogs have weed on it a few times. I don't know how much of that wee is actually penetrated right down. I might be surprised when I pull up the carpet, the underlay might look all clean, who knows. But yeah, there's no point in getting a nice new carpet and not replacing the underlay. And of course carpets are fitted in this country if you're interested. In America, I think similar way to most carpets are fitted. We have gripper rods, I think they're called something else in the USA. Just basically bits of wood with nails sticking out, and they're attached all around the perimeter of the room. The underlay is fitted first, normally loose laid. I think sometimes they do stick the underlay down. Then the carpet's laid on top, and then they use a carpet stretcher and thing, and they sort of use their knee, and I'm sure there are carpet fitting videos you can watch on YouTube if you're interested. Right, oh dear. Right, I'm glad that's sorted. So we can discard all the others. So I don't think I've gone for the cheapest. I think this is a better quality than the Furlong company. But yeah, this velvet finish, it's nice. It'll do for the living room, but compared to the nylon velvet, that is luxury feel. That for the bedrooms will be absolutely lovely. But I was quoted, I think, £1,800 for this living room if I had this sort of carpet. So that includes fitting an underlay. But it's a lot of money for a room that gets a lot of heavy traffic, that gets vacuumed a lot, that gets muck thrown down on it. Plus the fact, the vacuums clamp down on this because it's such a lovely dense pile. Lovely feel to it, easy care, but you do need to choose your vacuum wisely when getting a velvet type carpet. I think the higher the quality carpet, the less sort of vacuum cleaner you can use on it. The cheaper the carpet, you're fine. You're fine with a Goblin. You're fine with a budget supermarket vacuum with a really cheap carpet. And I say the cheapest carpets I've shown you in this video will be these Furlong. They still look nice and they feel nice. But I can tell just by feel alone that these are a better feel. So I think budget, sort of medium price point, and then you've got the luxury price point. And I did say, you know, I don't know what I'm going for. I could go for budget, or I could go really expensive. So I have been provided with all the different samples. I hope this video has been of some use to you, but you just got to be aware, just when you're choosing a new carpet, you've got to consider how you're going to clean it and if your vacuum cleaner will work on it. So that's something you need to ask. Don't make the mistake I made when I bought my plush pile Saxony. If you're concerned with how to vacuum it, you might find certain manufacturers or brand models are recommended. And so you might have to factor in the cost of a new vacuum if you're getting a new carpet. But yeah, what a minefield. I never knew I'd have so much trouble. But then you need to take the trouble to avoid a very expensive mistake. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments or questions or recommendations, if you can get them in soon before I actually place my order. But from what I'll test these again actually off camera just to make sure. And as I said, I will see if they have any larger samples, any offcuts they might have of any of these carpets. And I could do a quick short video if I do manage to get hold of one. Or if any of these carpets are fitted in the shop, I'll take a vacuum or two to the shop and try them out there. Right, bit of a long boring video if you don't like vacuum cleaners, but it's an important one. And as I'm in the business of, well, not business, as I'm in the hobby of demonstrating vacuum cleaners, it really matters to me the sort of carpet I use, because the carpet is the second star of the show. The star of the show is the cleaner, of course, but the thing that you most see is the carpet. You see all the muck on it, and then the vacuum hopefully picking it all up. That's why I've had to use quite a lot of rugs in a few demos, because I know I can't demonstrate the vacuum on the carpet I've got. So with one of these, I should be able to do away with the rugs on most occasions and just demonstrate on the carpet that's fitted in my living room. That's definitely it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all very soon for a vacuum cleaner video. Bye for now.